Walk down your street tonight. Actually look at the houses. The one with the skip outside that's been there since March. The one with the trampoline wedged into a garden that clearly wasn't designed for a trampoline. Yours with the bin you keep meaning to move. Now open your phone, open Instagram, open Rightmove at 11 at night, which we all do and none of us admit to. Suddenly you're looking at a 5-bedroom barn conversion in the home counties with an island the size of your entire kitchen, bifold doors, and a lawn you'd need a ride-on mower for. And a quiet voice says, "Everyone else is doing better than me." They're not. That's not humility, that's arithmetic. Because what you see on television is not a British house. It is a British fantasy, filmed with a wide-angle lens, staged by a professional, and lit like a jewellery advert. So let's do something uncomfortable and useful. Let's define normal, not aspirational, not average according to your cousin. Normal, as measured by Land Registry, the English Housing Survey, and Ofgem in 2026. By the end of this, you'll know exactly where your house sits. And I suspect you're going to feel a lot better about it. Start with the number everyone thinks they know. As of April 2026, the average UK house price is £270,080, according to Land Registry. Prices are up 3.8% on the year. Now, you may have heard 300,000. You're not wrong either. Halifax's index puts it around 301,000 because it measures mortgage-approved purchases rather than every completed sale. 2 different lenses, 2 different pictures. But note what happened just now. 2 credible sources, £30,000 apart. If the experts can't agree on the average house, how confident should you be about ranking your own? Here's the part that actually matters. The average British house does not exist. It's a statistical ghost, the midpoint of 2 entirely separate countries wearing the same flag. London's average sits around £542,000. The North East, 162,000. That is not a gap. That is a different planet with a different atmosphere, which produces the London Distortion. A 1-bedroom flat in Battersea, no garden, shared bin store, a lift that works most Tuesdays, can cost more than a detached stone house in County Durham with 4 bedrooms and a paddock. Same currency, same tax year, same HMRC, completely different realities. And the direction of travel is reversing. The North East grew nearly 10% year on year. London fell 2.1%. The gap is closing from the wrong end, and far too slowly to help anyone reading this today. So, if your house is worth £200,000, you are not below average. You are average for most of Britain. The number is being dragged upward by a few postcodes inside the M25, and you are being asked to feel bad about a distortion you didn't create. Now the shape of the thing. We are not a nation of detached houses. We are a nation of shared walls. Roughly a quarter of English homes are terraced. Another quarter are semi-detached. Around a fifth are flats. Add those together and you get the real headline. Over 65% of us live in a home that shares at least one wall with another household. Detached, around 17%. Call it the top fifth, generously. Sit with that. The detached house, the one on every property show, every estate agent's window, every daydream, is a minority experience. 4 out of 5 of us can hear something. A telly, a Hoover, a slanging match, a dog with opinions. That is not failure, that is Britain. We built terraces because we industrialised first and hardest, and we've been living in the consequences ever since. Your shared wall isn't a personal shortfall, it's national architecture. Here's the one that stings. British homes are the smallest in Western Europe. Not smallish, smallest. The typical UK dwelling comes in around 90 square metres. A comparable German or Danish home has meaningfully more. And new builds, the shiny ones, the ones with the show home, are frequently smaller than the Victorian terrace you're apologising for. Developers optimise for plots per hectare, not elbow room. Which brings us to the great British lie, the box room. You know the box room. It is legally a bedroom. It is dimensionally a filing cabinet, a single bed and a desk, and only if you fit the desk first and then the bed at an angle, and only if nobody needs to open a wardrobe. A 3-bedroom semi in this country routinely means 1 proper bedroom, 1 adequate bedroom, and 1 room that exists primarily to appear in the listing. That box room adds tens of thousands of pounds to the asking price, and about 4 square metres to your life. So when you feel cramped, you are not disorganised. You are not bad at storage. You are living in the smallest housing stock in the region, and you are doing it competently. Your house is also, quite probably, older than the concept of the National Health Service. A large slice of British housing was built before 1945. Millions of homes are Victorian or Edwardian, solid brick, no cavity, single-skin walls, sash windows engineered in an era when the answer to cold was put another jumper on and light the fire, which lands directly on your EPC rating. Band D remains the most common rating in England. Band C is where policy wants us. Most of us are sitting at C or D, meaning functional, not efficient, warm, but leaking, and it costs. From the 1st of July 2026, Ofgem's price cap for a typical dual-fuel household, paying by direct debit, is £1,862 a year on the previous benchmark, a rise of 13%, or £221, from the £1,641 that applied in the spring. Ofgem also publishes a headline of £1,663, using its new, lower assumed usage figures. Same unit rates, different assumptions about you. Here's the honest reading. That cap describes a typical home. A drafty Band E terrace with solid walls and an old boiler doesn't get typical. It gets considerably more, pushing well past £2,000 through a real British winter. So a chunk of your money each year is not buying warmth. It is buying replacement warmth for the heat already escaping through brickwork laid before anyone thought to insulate it. Add council tax on top, and you begin to understand where the salary goes. Now, who actually owns these houses? Roughly a third of British households own outright. No mortgage, no lender, nothing owed. That sounds wonderful until you check who they are. They are, overwhelmingly, older. They bought when the multiple of earnings was survivable. The normal working-age family owns something quite different. They own a debt, secured against a building, with the bank holding the deeds until the last payment clears. New borrowers are routinely taking on advances around £200,000 and upward, and considerably more in the southeast. That's the trick nobody says out loud. When you tell someone your house is worth £300,000, you are quoting the bank's asset. The bit that's yours is the deposit plus however much capital you've chipped off since. Everything else is a very long-term rental agreement with better paperwork. And the garden, the great British obsession. Most of us do have private outdoor space, genuinely, and it's one of the better things about this country. But it is not a rolling lawn. The normal British garden is a rectangle. There's grass, which is patchy near the fence. There's a patio, laid by a previous owner, with more enthusiasm than skill. There's a shed. And there is the defining feature of British outdoor life. You are visible. Overlooked from the left. Overlooked from the right. Overlooked by the house behind whose loft conversion now has a window pointed directly at your barbecue. We call it private outdoor space, and then sit in it performing privacy at 3 different neighbours. That's the patio squeeze. We pay a fortune for outdoor space, and then use it about 11 days a year, cautiously. So why do so many people who own perfectly decent homes feel house poor? Because we are running a rigged comparison. You compare your lived-in Victorian terrace with the coats on the banister and the radiator that clanks against a show home. And a show home is not a house. It's an advert. Nobody lives there. The wardrobes are empty. The books are fake. The sofa is 3/4 scale, so the room reads bigger on camera. It has been professionally staged to make you feel exactly what you're feeling. You're not comparing houses. You're comparing your Tuesday to someone's marketing budget. So, is your house normal? If it shares a wall, sits under 100 square meters, was built before your grandparents, holds a Band D rating, has a mortgage on it, and a small, overlooked rectangle out the back, congratulations. That's not a compromise. That is the British house. You're not behind. You're here with the rest of us. Le Corbusier called a house a machine for living in, not a trophy, not a scoreboard, a machine. And by that measure, ask the real questions. Is it dry? Is it warm enough? Is it safe? Do the people in it want to come home to it? Because if the answer is yes, you are housed better than roughly 70% of the human beings alive right now. Not 70% of Instagram, 70% of Earth. The house isn't the problem. The comparison is, go and put the kettle on. That's what the kitchen's for. If you learned something, make sure to like and hit subscribe. See you in the next one.